Hello everyone, so I will be doing my January wrap up. This is very late, I know, but it's better late than never, right? In the month of January, I read 4 books, so let's get started. The first book I read is The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King. This is a horror novel about Trisha McFarlane, who is a 9-year-old girl who goes hiking with her mother and her brother in the Appalachian Trails. Her mother and brother are fighting, and she tries to get their attention because she has to use the bathroom, but they just keep on fighting, and so she gets really annoyed and just goes off in the woods to pee. But unfortunately, she gets turned around and gets lost. This book was written in 1999, and King said that this idea for this book came to him by watching a Red Sox game, and Tom Gordon is a player in the Red Sox. And in this book, Trisha is very much obsessed with him and loves the Red Sox. So he just finished Bag of Bones, and this is right before he started writing Heart of Atlantis. And he says during the time between 2 big books, he usually writes novellas. And even though this book isn't a novella, it is very short compared to many of his other books. I gave this a 4-star rating. This is very scary for different reasons than his usual novels. Not only are you scared for this little girl because she goes through hell, she gets attacked by bees and falls down a cliff and drinks very dirty water, and so becomes very violently ill and throws up the only nutrients she's been getting. So not only are you scared for this little girl and so worried that she might not make it, but you also kind of put yourself in her shoes. And you know the Appalachian Trails goes on forever, so you know there's a possibility that she could never be discovered. And so you feel that anxiety of being lost, and her sleeping in the woods and hearing twigs snap or rustling in the bushes and not knowing what is in the woods. Yes, it could be a squirrel or deer, but it could be a bear or something even more terrifying. The second book I read was Member of the Family, My Story of Charles Manson, Life Inside His Cult, and The Darkness That Ended the 60s by Diane Lake. This is a true crime memoir about Diane Lake, who chronicles her life with Charles Manson. She first got involved with him at the age of 14, and then by the age of 17, she helped them put him away. For years, she tried to distance herself from the Manson family. She's married, has 2 kids, who don't even know that she was a member of the Manson family. However, in 2008, there was going to be an investigation to find more of the bodies of Manson victims. And they told her that if they found stuff, that she would be questioned and her name would probably be all over the papers, and they wanted to give her a heads up. So she had to come to terms with everything, and that means telling her kids. She wrote this book in 2017, and her reason was that her husband had died and her kids were old enough. She said she wanted to reunite and reconcile the person she was at 14 and her adult self, and to just not have this secret anymore. I gave this a 4-star rating. At first, I was very hesitant about reading this. I felt a little uncomfortable that a member of the Manson family was profiting off of such a horrible event. But the more I read this, the more I realized that she was a victim herself, and that not all people who were involved with the Manson family are evil. When she got involved with the Manson family, she was so young and just wanted to be loved and be a part of something. She didn't really have a stable family, and so when she found them, it was something beautiful to her. And when she met him, he wasn't this crazy maniac killer. He wasn't calling himself Jesus Christ and calling for a race war. He was just about love, and he was very charismatic, and I could see why a lot of people got involved with him, and he did target a certain type of people who were lost and lonely. But after things failed for him, that's when he got really angry and he started to change, and that's when the cult really got going. And by that time she was already in so deep. She did not take part in any of the killings. She didn't even know about it until after the fact, and at that time she was already distancing herself because he changed so much. He used to beat her and rape her, and so she was already thinking that this wasn't the same person she got involved with. And I really like this book because you got to see a different side of this cult and got to really understand why so many people got involved with Charles Manson. Because most people know him as the psychotic cult leader who got people to kill for him, but don't really know why they got involved in the first place. And this book shines some light onto that, which I think is very fascinating. The third book I read was The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. This is a mystery thriller novel about Anna Fox, who is agoraphobic, and she sees one of her neighbors get murdered. However, there is no evidence that it happened. I gave this a 4-star rating. What I really liked about this book was the way he handled mental illness. The author has his own battle with mental illness. He had severe depression, and he said he has been finally diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder. And he said that when he was writing this, he used his own experience with mental illness to create the main character. And I personally has never dealt with agoraphobia, so I don't know if what the character goes through is based on the true illness. But I like that since the author has struggled with mental illness, the depression part and some of her characteristics feel really real. And as sad as it is, I think it is very real how people around her, once they knew that she had a mental illness, treated her. They automatically dismissed her. And I think that is very true because mental illness has a big stigma in this country. And somehow, just because you have a mental illness, you're somehow less reliable. So with a book like this, you kind of go in there thinking that there's going to be a twist or something shocking. So if you are like me, you kind of already go through so many scenarios in your head, who could be the killer or what could happen or, anything like that. So you play back all these things that, oh, it could be this person or this could happen. And so I really don't know if this was predictable since I already went through like a million scenarios in my head by the time it happened. So I was like, oh yeah, see, I called it. But then I was like, wait, I called like a million things because I just went through it through my head since I knew there has to be a twist or something shocking. And this is one of the better mystery thriller novels books I've read in a while. And if you are a fan of Gillian Flynn, then you will most likely like this book. The last book I read in January is Pan's Labyrinth, The Labyrinth of the Faun by Guillermo del Toro. And if you don't know, Pan's Labyrinth was a movie that came out in 2006 and was directed by Guillermo del Toro. And I saw this movie so long ago, and since this is a Spanish movie, there are subtitles. And so I don't know if it was just because I've seen it a long time ago or if I missed stuff because I was reading the subtitles. Because when I started this book, I didn't really remember anything about it. Because when I started reading it, I was like, oh, that's what that was about in the beginning? Some things was lost on me. And it could be that I watched it so long ago, or Pan's Labyrinth is so beautiful and so maybe I was just concentrating on that than concentrating on reading the subtitles. or both. It could be a combination of both. So I'm really glad I read this book, so I got a better feel of what it's about. And Pan's Labyrinth is about a girl named Ophelia. She's 11 years old. Her father has died, and her mom is pregnant and is remarried to Captain Vidal, who is a murdering sadist. When she arrives to her new home, she sees this fairy and she follows him into this labyrinth where she meets the faun, who tells her that she is the reincarnation of Princess Moana, and he gives her 3 tasks that she must complete in order to become immortal and return to her kingdom. Cornelia Fuchs is a co-author in this book, and her contribution was writing most of the fables that are intertwined between the story. And Del Toro has said in an interview that the fairy tales are used to enhance the movie and to make the universe much bigger. And it displayed a deeper connection between the fables and the main story. And I think it did that. Everything is put together so beautifully, and you really get connected with this universe. So I highly recommend the book and the movie. I think both are done so beautifully. So those are all the books I read in January. So like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!